Okay. Okay. Uh, I see most of you are either pursuing your degree or are a fresher. Okay. Got it. Uh, yeah. So with that, I think I'll start presenting my screen. And if you have any questions in between, if you have any doubts, feel free to drop in the comment section. I'll be regularly looking at it to see if somebody is asking any questions or somebody has any issues. You can also work with me and play along my analysis with your insights and with your ideas. So yeah, can you like stop sharing your screen? I think, yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, no worries.
So the topic for today's session that we have already discovered is analyzing Uber ride demands using SQL. So in this session, we will be discussing and learning how to extract insights from a large data set and solve a real world problem maybe. So with that, moving to my next slide. So uh, firstly, when you get a large data set, it's very important to understand that data set, what it contains, what columns field it as, and what are the ones that you will be using to solve a problem. And then you move on to solve that problem using SQL. And yeah, we will also have live Q&A at the end to clarify your doubts. So let me begin. Okay, so firstly, I have something called a project lifecycle in a real data analyst work. So whenever you get a problem at Uber or at any organization, when you're working as a data analyst, you don't directly jump to the conclusion. You don't directly jump to a solution. You start with the identification of the problem. Maybe you get that problem statement from your manager, or you get that from your seniors or leadership. And for this for this project, let's suppose we have gotten a problem statement that we want to reduce no cars available incident or improving the ride completion rates at Uber. So what no cars available means is basically when you are trying to book a cab, but the app shows you that there are no cars available right now in this area, and maybe you can try booking later. So that is a problem statement. And if a team identifies that, or if leadership decides that we need to work on this, they will give you a project. You as a data analyst will have to figure out uh, what is the trend, how many cars, like how many such incidents are occurring, and how can you break that down into smaller chunks, and maybe share some insights and analysis on that. So the second thing that you do is breaking down the problem. So in this, you will have to break down the problem into specific questions or key metrics. You will write down your questions, like for this problem statement, what do I have to look down into, what do I have to see, what data will I look into. And uh, it could be like analyzing the right timestamp, like what were the timestamps, and at what specific time did the ride was cancelled, something like that. So there are ample of data, and you have to decide which data would be the right one for you in case this problem has been given to you. Then after that, you engage with your stakeholders. What you have to do in engaging with your stakeholders is basically you discuss if you have to take any assumptions, if you have to like if there are something that could be expected out of this data, like there could be some adjustment, or maybe this data is in raw form, and the team, few teams, they do something manually on it. So you have to talk to few people around the team who man who manage these accounts or who manage these incidents manually. And then now finally your part comes where you will be utilizing your tools or skill knowledge that you have. So you'll gather all these things, you'll gather all the data set that you have just collected, you will try to clean it, you will prepare it for the analysis. Maybe when you will get any raw data from a SQL server or SQL database, it won't be in the cleanest form. You will have to perform some cleaning operations, you will have to perform something like removing null values, or maybe there are junk values. So if you want to do your analysis in a good way, you don't want to face any trouble while getting your insights. It's the most important thing that you first clean your data, then prepare your charts, and then do your further analysis. So this is one of the most important things that we often miss out, and creates it later creates problem for us. So with that, let me see if anybody has doubts till now, or there are any issues. Yeah, Pushkar, ETL. Yeah, that is extract, transform and load. So that is what we do. The common term for this is basically ETL, where we extract the data from a larger data set, then transform it to the way that we want to look at it, and then basically load it to our dashboards or maybe Power BI. Okay, so if okay, how data that we will cover in our next slides. I'll show you how the data that we have is analyzed. Okay, so moving to the next step, that is analysis and insight. So if you have noticed till now, we haven't come to SQL yet. And that is the reality of a real data analyst, the day-to-day work that we do. A lot of our time is spent on solving the problem, maybe fetching out the right resources, maybe brainstorming on how to approach this problem. The tools that you will be using may not be like even 20% of the work or 30% of the work, but yeah, it is an important part. And that is why you need knowledge of SQL and other tools that are there for a data analyst. So now you will be using SQL. So you will use SQL to write your queries for different questions that you just broke down, like identifying the peak hours, identifying where, like, which location has most of the right cancellations, all these things. You'll write queries for them. You will see the common, like analyze the trends on that. Maybe you can also create visuals, charts around that, and see the trend, and accordingly you write your insights. So you have to interpret these findings to suggest improvement, to suggest ideas to the management, leadership, and the one who came with the problem. uh, Seeing this data and like organizing and maybe writing it on an email, you will share your insights with them. And yeah, finally and lastly, you present these findings to your stakeholders, maybe through a dashboard, or maybe you send all these things in a email, and you discuss the strategies, or maybe what needs to be actioned upon, and gather their feedback. If they say that something is not looking right, or something still needs to be done in this, you gather those feedbacks and then you rework on it. And yeah, that is how you become good with handling a project and leading it end to end. And these steps are basically how our day-to-day work goes, and how we pick up any projects. Okay, so I'll wait another minute to see if there are any questions. Yes, Junaid, we do have automation systems built, but that would need another separate video for it. So we do have automation systems for ETL, and people use even Python scripts to automate such processes. Programming language is basically, there are programming languages like Python. There are a lot of uh, libraries that Python has, but it depends more on the particular description of what the company is looking for. So maybe for such scenarios, if you have doubts like this boot camp and the career counselor from this boot camp would help you out in answering questions such as these. Okay, so yeah, I'll try to cover these questions at the last of this session. I'll allocate 15 minutes for these questions, the Q&A that you have, and we'll discuss these things. Let me move on to our next slide. So, as I said, the second step, which requires breakdown of the problem, how will you approach this problem? So, before moving on to the next slide, can can you all try to answer what are the factors that you think could affect a ride, like a Uber ride demand in a city like Bangalore or Delhi? What factors could affect the Uber business or Uber ride demands? Yeah, traffic is one of it. Good. Can anybody think of any other reasons or something which could be affecting, yeah, people's spending habits? Yeah, I see some good factors that people are coming up with. Correct. I see a lot of you are answering traffic. And yeah, it is one of the reasons why sometimes the ride demands are affected, because traffic will create delays in the ride. And if that delay would cause the drivers to not be available, and if it's a peak season, it's a peak hour where there is a lot of demand for rides, that creates a lot of impact on our business. Yeah, active users to active driver. Yeah, the demand versus supply also affects. So if there is one particular area where we have very few drivers and a lot of users booking the rides, that also comes to such issues. Yeah, late night bookings. Correct. Yeah. Okay, so now I'll move on to my next slide. So I have tried to gather a few common reasons why such demands are affected and how we can analyze the demands for Uber. So the first one, which is very prominent, is when you are trying to solve such problem, the first thing that you will try to look at it is which hour of the day has the highest demand. So if there is an hour like in the morning or in the evening or maybe the night time, you will try to find out the hours for demands, and then you will also try to answer how does demand vary between different cab services that we have. So we have city plus airport cabs, and in some countries we have other products as well. So how many of you know that not just Uber app, there is something called Uber Eats also, which exists in other countries, but it was acquired by Zomato in India. So we don't hear about Uber Eats, but yeah, Uber also does deliveries. Uber also sends groceries. Even they uh, like uh, send some common items from retail stores like Target in US. So Uber does a lot of things, not just it's not just a ride sharing app. Yeah. So in other countries, in other parts of the world, Uber has a lot other businesses as well. So yeah, the third question that I wanted to discuss is what are the common reasons for write cancellation. So if you can find such reasons from your data, what are the reasons that these writes are cancelled, and maybe you will try to answer from your insights. How can we reduce such cases? What insights you can provide to the leadership? Just like how I discussed the last part where we share insights. So with that, I think I'll take a pause here and see your doubts again. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I see a lot of people are engaging, and that is how a good session goes. And I'm really enjoying this session. And yeah, I just wanted to discuss one more thing. So before moving forward with the session, I would like to share something with you. So based on my experience, in my time when I was preparing for a data analyst, I didn't have a boot camp or such platforms available where I can get everything, and even like guides and mentors from industry experts who would help me. So I think it's very important for people to have boot camps, and if you're planning a career transition, and even when you're a fresher, or if you're even experienced, it's crucial to upskill and have a solid roadmap. And that is why it is important for you to save time and get the right mentorship. And I highly recommend investing in a paid program that helps you build your profile from scratch. Experts like myself and others from very good product based companies are available to teach you during the program. And it's fine if you want to go with self study, but in times like this, it's really important to have a tailored roadmap, where I see a lot of people are getting into this field and there is a high competition. So uh, I think I would I would suggest people to fill this form that is attached in the comment section. And this, like, if you want to understand how paid program can help you with faster career transition, just fill out this form and you will get a chance to connect with program experts from Coding Ninja's team. And by end of this session, we will also talk about the data analytics 6 months boot camp that offers comprehensive training and placement assistance till you land your first job after completion of the program. So we would like to give you some time, a minute or two, to fill out this form before we move ahead with the session, because we still have a lot of things we will discuss, and I will also answer your questions as many as possible by end of the session. So take your time and go ahead, fill the forms, because uh, if you have any doubts regarding how mentors could help you and how to get a roadmap for your journey, uh, there are experts from Coding Ninja which will help you and even take sessions for you. So let's wait for you, and let me know if you have filled the form, and then we can move forward. Done. Can I get more yes or no? Sure, take your time. We can wait. And I can see there are a lot of questions regarding how the career looks like and what are the skills required. How can you move to a data analytics roles? What is important, what's not. So yeah, for the same reasons, you need someone to help you. You need a good roadmap because finding such courses these days, such good courses where you will get so much of help from getting a roadmap to the skill development to finally getting what to do and what not to do to get the right direction. So, in case you all have such doubts and you want a good roadmap, I suggest you fill the form to get in touch with an expert. Yeah, Kashif, I'll try to cover these questions during the last 15 minutes of this session.
Okay, so whosoever is filling the form, they can fill it up. So if you're done filling, you can drop it done. And Vishal, I think we can resume the session.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So, yeah. So with that, we have discussed all the problem statements that we have tried to jot down and tried to think before we move to the real solving part. So moving on to the next slide, let's see our data set. The data set that we have today has a request ID. Basically, this is a unique identifier of a request. So anytime you book a ride from your Uber, it gets converted to a request, and a request number is generated in the backend. So this is how the details are like captured. Then we have pickup point. This is basically whether it's a city pickup or airport pickup, as we discussed. So in India, we have city caps and airport caps. They're a separate part of entity and called as a separate business. And then we have driver ID, the particular driver that gets allocated to your request. And moving on to the fourth field that we have is status. This is the status. Basically, if the trip is completed or if there are any issues like no cars available or whether it was cancelled. So the status gets captured based on the real time capturing of what has been done to that request. And then we have a request timestamp, which is basically the date and time at which the customer made the trip request. So as the moment you click on that book a ride for me, the timestamp gets captured, and that is how it's calculated. So the total completion time is basically when a user goes and clicks on book a ride to the moment he gets dropped, or he's success like he has a successful trip. So the difference between these two would be a good insight, like how much time is it taking for a user to start his journey from booking the cab to finally getting a drop. And like looking at the data set, even like when you just get to know your data set, you can see that you can find out a lot of things from just looking at an overview of this data set. Like you can differentiate between how many airport rides were there versus how many city rides were there, and maybe that could help you decide in the future if you want to, like based on the demand, if there are more airport rides, maybe in that area you need to increase your riders for airport or increase your cars for airport. And yeah, that is how decisions are taken based on data, and that is what you call as data driven insights, data driven decisions. And most of the companies are highly relying on such data level and insights to basically move on to their business. So with that, let me move to the next slide. And yeah, this is our first query. So as I said, we will firstly identify the peak hours. So for that, we need to write a query where we would extract the R from this request timestamp. So we'll basically get this 11, 17 if we write this command R from the request timestamp, and then we will use a count function to get the count of total request. And since we're using this count function, we'll group this by R. So we'll get something like R versus how many count of requests were there in that particular R. So this is a simple query where we have just used two functions, basically extracting R from the timestamp and then counting the number of requests using the count function. And we also have ordered it by total request. So the R which has the highest number of requests will come on top. And now I'll show you the output that we have for this query. So this is the output that I got from this query. Can anybody, like, can any one of you, or maybe can you all try to uh, share some insights from this output? Like, can you guess what is it that we can do with this data or with this output, and what is it we can analyze? Can you comment what, like, what is the result that we're getting from this output? Yes. Yes, office hours. So as you can clearly see, six between like evening time and in the morning time, we have peak hours where we are getting more number of requests. Yes, correct. Yeah, people are good. So I can see uh, most of you have answered it correct, and that's how we get insights from a data set. So when you're working as a data analyst, when you're working with SQL, uh, output is important, but what you can gain from that output, what insights you're getting from that output is also an important aspect. And this is how you get better and better when you like when you get experience and when you practice on such projects. And yeah, then we'll move on to the next question. Then I've tried to like calculate the cancellation rate for each pickup point. So I've used my pickup point field here, which is airport and city, and then I have tried to calculate it in the query itself. So I think most of you have seen like how to use sum and all. Like if you're fresher, I get it that you are not exposed to SQL much. But yeah, if we have to calculate something over SQL, we generally put it in a select statement. We just write whatever we need to do. So wherever it has a status cancelled, uh, I'll show you the data set. So wherever I have a status which is equals to cancelled, I want to calculate that. I want to sum that up, and then I will multiply it by 100 and divide it by the total count. So if there are 45 rides that have been cancelled out of 100, right, the cancellation rate would be 45%. So out of 100 rides, 45 got cancelled. That is how this formula is calculating the cancellation rate. I'm dividing some of all the cancel rates by the total rights, total request, sorry. So I have just used a simple formula here, and then I have grouped it by pickup point. And here is my output. So as you can see, city has a cancellation rate of around 22.35%, and airport has 18.5% cancellation rate. So city, which is like kind of obvious, but we still want to sometimes look at this data. So city has more number of cancellation. So now my question again to you guys: what insight can you get from this data? Like, what would you suggest if you were working on this problem? What would you suggest to your leadership? What do we need to do here to solve this? Do we exclude cancel trip requests? to identify peak hours. No, Shivam, we haven't excluded anything. So, request is something that is a request. It could be a cancelled trip. It could be completed trip. It is everything that includes like the total request. We just want to see how many number of requests are coming. Then we will separately see how many of them were completed, how many of them did not go through. Get review from this. We need to reduce cancellation rate of cities. Yes. Lowering the fares. Yes, one of the insights or reason behind this cancellation rate could be that in city we face a lot of traffic base, like mostly if you'll see Bangalore and Gurgaon, you'll see there are a lot of traffic. So due to that, a lot of ride get cancelled due to shortage of maybe riders or shortage of uh, delay, or maybe they switch to other apps because their rides are not getting confirmed. City might have more rides available than competitors to airport, and as a result city might have a higher cancellation rate. Yeah, that could be one of the possible reasons. Yes. So with that I'll move to the next slide. I have tried to analyze supply demand gaps, which I talked in the beginning. So I want to see how many like rides are we able to like get versus how many are we not able to complete. So I want to see the gaps. Hence, I have taken pickup point and the number of requests, and I have put a filter here where I want to see like all the status with no cars available. I want to see wherever there were no cars available, how many such requests were there. So as I can see, I got something like city has 1200 requests where there were no cars available, and airport had 1100. So yeah, that is also one of the things that looks aligned with our original business. So in city we have more number of requests, more number of cars, and the numbers would be higher for city. And we like in order to fill these gaps, we sometimes strategize on like do we need more riders, do we need to incentivize our riders to pick up more uh, requests, or yeah, some sort of in that line we think about some solutions. So in this analysis as well, can somebody think like can you all think about what could be your ideas to sort in this supply demand gap? If we have more number of errors where we are getting no cars available in city, what could we do to solve this problem? Right. Yeah. Right, Utkarsh. This is one of the good insights that we need to better pay our riders than competitors for driver to get enrolled at Uber. Otherwise, what happens is they choose other apps and they mostly cancel the ones that they don't want to accept. And basically, if they have a ride that has a higher fare, or maybe it is above 500 or 600, they tend to accept, but anything less than 100 they simply reject. So we need to find ways to incentivize them even on the number of completed trips. So even though the amount of that ride could be lower, but maybe if you complete 10 rides I'll give you 100 rupees extra for a day. That sort of schemes are launched every other days when we find some of such insights. Yeah, finding the area where is demand is high, arranging more cars. Correct. So on this, we also sometimes see things on an overall level, like overview of things. So this insight alone wouldn't give a lot of solution. What we then do is find out those areas, maybe the particular areas where these requests were done, and see if there is a particular area. Let's suppose in Delhi there is CP where we are getting, there are a lot of uh, errors where we are getting no cars available. So maybe we need to particularly for CP we need to have more cars available, enroll more drivers. So sometimes we deep dive into such analysis to see uh, more insights, to see the depth of this data. Yeah, difference in price or the fare. Correct. Correct. Good insights. Yeah. So let me move on to the next slide. So here I have tried to find out the top three R's with the highest cancellation rate. I would like to ask, like, did that question come to you when you saw this data? Like, when you saw this sample data that I showed, this such questions come to your head that what all we can take out from this data, the top five things, top three things, such kind of questions, did they come up to your head also? Yeah, can peak time be identified? Okay, yeah, good. Can peak time be identified by increased difference between the estimated drop time shown while booking versus the real right difference between pickup peak time? No, I think a difference between pickup and drop time would also uh, give you, if we are taking a lot of time, like this can basically identify if we are having a lot of traffic, and if the estimated time is getting overdue because of traffic, or uh, maybe if you use the Uber app, you see that it shows you an estimated drop time. If it's that if that is exceeding, and someone comes up to you and says that we want to find out in which areas or in which city we are having such cases where the rides are getting delayed. So it is a issue for users as well, because when you are booking a ride, you tell your family, you tell your friends that you will be coming in 20 minutes, but sometimes it gets delayed, maybe because the driver came to pick you up late. So we'll then deep dive to find out the time which the driver took to come to your house. If it was 4 minutes away, what was the reason behind him coming in 10 minutes or maybe 12 minutes? So we tend to see such things with such timestamp data. And there are a lot of other metrics in the real data which we analyze. So yeah, good direction. I will, although, okay, then I'll move on to my question. So I want to find the top three R's with the highest cancellation rate. And this I would get by extracting the R from request timestamp, and then calculating the cancellation rate as we did before. So here is my output. And as you can see again, during the evening time or during the peak hours in the morning, when the office commute time is there, and when people come back from office, we have major cancellation rate. And maybe you see this number 21, which is 9 o'clock. Maybe this is because a lot of people just go to their families, the riders go to their families, so they tend to find rides where which comes in their way to their home, so they cancel such rides. Like, this could be one of the analysis, this may hold true or not, but yeah, there is always a reasoning behind everything you find out or everything you see in the data. So just try to find such insights, and try to build yourself build your skills in SQL with this boot camp that you all will be enrolling or are planning to enroll. Such type of things will definitely help you become a good data analyst and prepare you for your interviews. So yeah, now coming down to almost our last second last slide, which is what did we get from our analysis. As we discussed, peak hours are usually early morning and late evening. This is what we saw from the data, and this is how you curate your email. Like, you write your analysis that I saw from this data that high demand is at the airport, which require more cars. There were no cars available, incidents happening mostly during the peak hours, so we need to increase more cars in such areas where we have less riders available. And then you put some actionable strategies. Maybe you share your ideas with the leadership. Sometimes they tell you what we need to do, and sometimes you also, like, from your self, you also tend to put some actionable strategies in the mail. Like, we need to improve allocation during peak times. Like, okay, so in the afternoon, when you see there are lesser demands, why do we have to have more riders? Like, why do we need 100 riders when we are only getting 45 rides? We can allocate that, like, when we can allocate it, that shift more towards the peak hours. So we will increase riders during the peak hours, and, like, do a proper allocation for these drivers so that they are available when it is required, and we don't waste our money, waste our resources when we have lesser demands. So then, as you, like, all of you suggested, increased incentives for driver in high demand areas. So when there is a high demand area, you can increase incentives for drivers working in that area, so that they tend to take more rides, and in that case it will be a win-win situation for both customers and Uber, since the customers will be getting the rides and the drivers will also get paid, plus we will have more business. With that, I'll open the forum for a live Q&A, and I'll try to answer as many questions as possible coming from you all. So let's discuss any doubts on the outputs. I think we have majorly covered that, and we can also, like, discuss if you have any issues with filling the form, or any doubts related to the boot camp. I'll open the forum and I'll just wait for your questions.
Hey Vishal, are we going ahead with the Q&A?
Yeah, we are going ahead with the Q&A.
Okay, okay, sure.
Yeah. Can we get data set and code after the session? I'm sorry, Utkarsh. I won't be able to provide that. Is it necessary to learn subqueries for data analyst? I think, yeah, learning subqueries would essentially help you. I haven't used subquery in this session, like in this project, but yeah, subqueries are important as well. Is the data set available online? Yes, Utkarsh, you can check, but this was the sample data that I stimulated from somewhere. So is CT very essential in day to day? Yes, CT is important because sometimes you want to create a like view that is already not available, and you don't want to like extract the data in raw form to Excel, then work on it. So in such cases, you prepare a temporary table in that SQL uh, query only, and you then work on your calculation. So what we were doing, so in case you want to have another column added in your table for hour, for day separately, you can just use a CT and put a temporary table, then you can directly put R from the CT, so you don't have to put the R formula again and again. Measures used as data analyst. I'm sorry, I didn't get this question. Shabnam, measures used at data analysis in SQL. How to clear an interview as a fresher? I think there are a lot of questions regarding how to do things when you are just starting out as a fresher. And I think for such kind of stuff, this coding ninjas job boot camp is really helpful. And uh, I can see there are a lot of such questions. So how it can be helpful, I would like to call out our program expert from Coding Ninjas team. There's just going to take 10 more minutes of yours, and you are going to explore how this job bootcamp can basically help you in your career transition and answering such questions. I think I would move over to the Coding Ninjas expert, if you can take it up.
Yeah, hi. So thank you so much, Vishal, first of all, like for such an informative session. And guys, so everyone, like we are getting a lot of questions around the job boot camp conducted by Coding Ninjas, right? How one can get the transition they want, or if the person is in the same domain, how he can or he or she can upskill and get to the better positions. For that, we have our program manager, Mr. Karan Khanna. He'll be just taking another 10 to 15 minutes, and he'll be just guiding, and he'll be telling all the things related to this boot camp. So thank you so much once again, Vishal. And
No problem.
now I would like Karan to take on further.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone. You were a good audience. I had a fun time interacting with you all. And now I will like Karan to take over the session. Thank you once again.
Vishal, could you please just stop the screen sharing?
Sure, sure.